Here we go again. Only this time, the Catholic Church really is not going to be able to do much. The synodal church, can you imagine appealing to the synodal church in the middle of a world war? Oh my gosh, what a nightmare. What a nightmare. You know, and it's getting worse, because I thought maybe by now they might start waking up. We're in the middle of a world war. We just got off COVID when they shut the whole world down. They locked up all the churches, and the bishops are like, okie dokie. Well, okay, sacraments next year, son, right? I thought maybe the bishops had learned something, but apparently not. They're still terrified. They're still hiding in the upper room for fear of the Jews, evidently. Because they're all ready now. Holy Week is still a couple weeks out. And our good bishops from the USCCB are already trotting out that weird, bizarre little annual lecture, homily, that tells Catholics to knock it off with the anti-Semitism. They're actually doing it again.
Sadly, the celebration of Easter has at times been the occasion for outbursts of hatred and even violence against Jews. The Catechism of the Council of Trent teaches that the Jews do not bear the collective guilt for the death of Jesus. The Church made this teaching explicit at the Second Vatican Council in Nostra Aetate. It is also one of the causes of a great deal of the hatred for the Jewish people that we have seen in history and continue to see today. As Catholics, we are called to walk in the truth, and so to reject the conspiracies and lies that lead to harassment and even violence against our Jewish brothers and sisters.
Now, here's the scary thing, friends. That's a good bishop. We all know Bishop Sample. Good guy. He was sort of friendly to the traditional mass over the years. Good man. He's not some crazy Blaise Supich, right? One of the better bishops, which almost makes this worse. Because really, think about it. What is His Excellency Bishop Sample? What's he talking about? What's he really getting at? Remember that old kind of a joke-loaded question, so, Stan, are you still beating your wife? Remember that one? It's a fallacy because it embeds an unverified, damaging assumption within the question itself, so you really can't answer. That's what I was reminded of when I listened to Bishop Sample's little presentation, which is nothing new. They do this every year. It, too, embeds an unverified and damaging assumption. What are we talking about? Where is all of this anti-Semitism among faithful, serious Catholics? And if they're just nut jobs on YouTube, who cares? They're nut jobs on YouTube. They don't warrant all of this, right? Because obviously, think about this. From the perspective of the world, they're not paying much attention to religion anymore. There's an understatement. But they're just kind of like flip on the news, maybe, watch a podcast or something. They say, what's this? Bishop Sample's out there. What's he got to say?
Sadly, the celebration of Easter has at times been the occasion for outbursts of hatred and even violence against Jews.
Obviously, when they see a powerful conservative bishop, he's taking time away from a church in chaos, friends. Massive sex scandal involving kids worldwide, church closings, mass apostasy, plunging mass attendance numbers, right? And now even world war in the Holy Land. In the middle of all that, this rather powerful American bishop and a conservative bishop, Bishop Sample, thinks that despite it all, what has to happen right now, I got to give these guys a sermon. I got to give the Catholic world, my entire flock, give them a sermon that Catholic anti-Semites are still so prevalent, so plentiful, and pose such a serious threat right now that I need to go out there and basically accuse all Catholics of being guilty of this sin of hatred and anti-Semitism, right? Because it's a classic thing. He doesn't identify his target. He doesn't tell us who he's talking about. So that means it's all of us that he's talking about. We're all guilty. We all must be guilty of Jew hatred in a big way to warrant a dramatic statement like this. It's just open-ended and doesn't even identify anyone. Man, it must be everybody, the Catholic world, just full of haters.
It's also one of the causes of a great deal of the hatred for the Jewish people that we have seen in history and continue to see today.
If you don't understand, Your Excellency, how the other side's going to run with this, how you've made their day, how you're carrying water for them, well then listen up. Because they've been trying to get you guys to do this for a long, long time. You see, because for them, for the radical secular folks, especially the Zionists, it's the church herself, the Catholic Church herself, that is the problem, not some random nutty guy on YouTube. It's the church herself. And that random nutty guy, of course, he's just a holdover from 1,965 years of Catholic hatred. Because the church herself is the traditional church is the problem. The traditional liturgy is the problem. You see? You know they've been doing this. The church, her teaching, her traditional liturgy, as the Anti-Defamation League claims, it's all anti-Semitic. Her hateful New Testament, oh my gosh, just ask Mel Gibson about that. ADL, once again, the hateful narrative of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. It's responsible for the pogroms, for Pete's sakes, all down through history. It's the Bible itself that's hate literature. But most importantly, Your Excellency, and anyone else who might be listening, it's the Catholic Church's dogmatic religious supremacism that's the problem. Bishop Sample, do you realize this? That's what they're after here, and you're just complying. You're playing right into their hands. It's the supremacism which teaches that Christ established one true church, outside of which there is no salvation. That's the target. That's the hate. I just refuse to accept the Bishop Sample that you're referring to that. But how did you miss that then? How did you miss that that is their agenda? Because that's what the American Jewish Committee, for example, that's what they say. They came right out a couple of years ago on the anniversary of Nostra Aetate and said, yeah, the Catholic Church has finally stopped hating the Jews. And here's where they came right out and said, and right out and admitted that that's their problem. We are a hate group. We are haters. Admit it, Catholics, or you're anti-Semites. You confirm your anti-Semitism if you don't accept what we say about your church.
Nostra Aetate reversed nearly 2,000 years of Christian hostility towards Jews and Judaism that had led to centuries of violence, ghettos, inquisitions, expulsions, and forced conversions.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
I want to stress this, friends. I don't like piling on. I don't like going after bishops that are decent, better than some of the crazy apostate, heretic ones. Bishop Sample's not a heretic. Bishop Sample's a good man. And I truly appreciate his fidelity to orthodoxy, his efforts to remain tradition-minded, right? Even when it comes to the traditional Latin Mass over the years. But I would say that His Excellency, what are you talking about? Why are you carrying water for this liberal, radical Christophobia? I don't get it. And again, as I said earlier, who are these nameless, faceless Catholics that present such a threat to our Jewish brothers that you need to publicly chastise them? I don't think they exist, so I have to ask, what is the actual agenda here? Do people who talk like this, do they realize? Because EWTN did it not too long ago, the same dang thing. Oh, the Catholic Church is very anti-Semitic. We're trying to get over that now. Give us a little more time. Don't they realize how this offers comfort to so many truly Christophobic enemies of the Catholic Church? So I would say, Your Excellency, please stop it. I mean, don't you see? No wonder the Catholic Church today stands powerless, powerless in her human element, in the face of this massive sexual revolution, a transsexual revolution that's affecting children and families, in fact, bringing about the breakup of the Christian family. No wonder. You guys don't have any influence. You have no throw weight anymore because of this kind of thing. We're very sorry that we are a hateful organization. We're going to try. Who would listen to you and why? Where is your denunciation of the Christophobia that we as parents live through every day? The church's, the Christian moral teaching that's under assault everywhere, from the back of cereal boxes to music to movies, everywhere. Christophobia on brash and wild display. Don't you think the bishops during Holy Week, as Holy Week preachers, might come out and say, the Christophobia has got to stop. The hatred of Christ, the hatred of the Catholic Church, the hatred of the unborn, the hatred of the Church's Christian moral theology has to stop. Because in lieu of that, no wonder abortion is getting worse every day and gay marriage and everything. And no wonder when even the church's own bishops are out there making it very clear that the Catholic Church has really no moral authority upon which to stand or speak because she's so lame, she's so useless, and most importantly, she is so hateful that her members all need a lecture from her bishops every year at Holy Week, admonishing them to stop hating an entire race of people. That's probably, by the way, responsible for the Holocaust. The Church herself is responsible for the Holocaust.
The Holocaust was overwhelmingly a Jewish tragedy, but it was substantially a Christian scandal. Why was it a Christian scandal? Because it was perpetrated by overwhelmingly baptized Christians in ostensibly Christian lands. Of course, the Shoah was, as Pope Benedict XVI has described it, a pagan enterprise. But it couldn't have succeeded to the degree it did with the extermination of 6 million Jews if the land had not been tilled over centuries with what was called the teaching of contempt.
So what do you think, Bishop Sample? Do you think the rabbi there has a point? The church has been the problem all along, right? With all due respect, Your Excellency, such episcopal bootlicking is a scandal, especially when Christianity is under fire everywhere and like no other religion in the world suffers persecution. It is the #1 target in the world.
Sadly, religious freedom, especially for Christians, is under attack across the globe, including in the West, including right here in the United States, whether insidiously in the form of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs that block Christians from employment and advancement opportunities, or overtly, like vandalism against churches, or in some parts of the world, murderous violence against Christians themselves. In terms of sheer numbers, and this is a fact often ignored, Christians are by far the most persecuted religious group in the world.
Oh my gosh, the anti-Semitism has to stop. That's like hiding your own Easter eggs. It's like spinning plates. It's completely out of touch with the reality. I mean, if you won't listen to me, Bishop Sample, listen to the poor Latin patriarch, Cardinal Pizzaballa. He's over there in the Holy Land right now dodging bombs that Israel's sending in, blowing everything up over there. He's right now in the homeland of the earliest Christian community in the world, and it's getting blown to hell by secular Jewish Zionist state. And here's Bishop Sample, we need to stop hating on the Jews. Of course we do. We don't hate the Jews, but the point is, why is that the big thing to do this Holy Week? To talk about that when it's the Christians who are dying?
That the persecution of Christians remains one of the most widespread human rights crises today, affecting over 380 million believers worldwide. They suffer high or extreme levels of discrimination, violence, and oppression because of their faith.
You know, and I'll close with this. I always find it so frustrating when we're supposed to sit there and beat our breasts and talk about how terrible the Catholic Church was. This is just such a hateful organization. I can't even believe it. I'm so glad we grew up after Nostra Aetate. Oh boy, after the Second Vatican Council. Yeah, we finally grew up. Never any reference, any mention to what the Church actually accomplished. Because, as we've talked about down here before, the Catholic Church built the greatest civilization in the history of the world, which included missionary activity that went to the four corners of the earth to bring the light of Christ to Jesus, to feed people, to clothe the naked, right, to give drink to the thirsty, to educate the peoples of the world. The greatest system of justice and jurisprudence comes about because of the Catholic Church's social teaching. I wonder why they never mentioned that. The greatest body of theology and philosophy and the arts ever. The Catholic Church invented the hospital system worldwide. As I always say, look it up. It's a fantastic story. The Catholic Church literally invented the hospital. The Catholic Church literally invented higher education. The Catholic social teaching is the bedrock of things like little things like the Magna Carta. The Catholic Church historically is the patroness of the greatest artisans in the history of man. The greatest musicians, the greatest painters, sculptors, you name it. Greatest poets. Her nuns, an army of her little beautiful nuns, sisters, went again to the four corners of the world and built the school system, oftentimes helping to found cities like New Orleans and Quebec up in Canada. We've done stories on that and videos on that. The Catholic Church's missionaries founded the great cities of the world. You could go on and on and on, Bishop Sample, talking about the accomplishments of this church, not only for the souls of millions and millions and millions of people, what the mystical body of Christ through the Catholic Church has done, but also what she did for humanity. You could talk about so many beautiful things to make Catholics proud again, especially at Holy Week. Make them proud of what the Catholic Church has accomplished. Make them want to be like that army of saints who are now the church triumphant with God in heaven. And yet, once again, as Holy Week approaches, the message of, I would argue, one of the most inept classes of Catholic bishops in the history of the church is out there saying, hey, everybody, let's stop hating the Jews. This is diabolical. We don't hate the Jews, Excellency, and you know we don't. It's right in our catechism, isn't it? Jesus Christ, it's right in our scripture from the cross. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Mary Magdalene, St. John, all the people at the foot of the cross, what do you think they were, Swedes? You cannot be serious, Excellency. The Catholic Church taught us to love all men, especially the beautiful Bible stories, the friends of Jesus, the daughters of Jerusalem, Mary Magdalene, Veronica. We grew up on those stories. Nobody taught us to hate the Jews. Nobody hates the Jews. It's a black legend. Maybe some small-minded little men somewhere had it in their head to say nasty things. Who cares? They're small-minded little men. And again, what about the rank Christophobia that is responsible for, you see it every day, responsible for church burn. How many churches burned up in Canada over the past few years? Hundreds of churches burned to the ground. Whole cathedrals over in France and other countries in Europe burning. Priests being attacked at the altars. Killed, murdered, slaughtered. The church dying. These bishops, they're big on synodality, aren't they? Well, listen to this, Excellencies. Stop embarrassing Holy Mother Church with your cringy little woke lectures, the target of which is a straw man invented by the Anti-Defamation League and people like that who have been steeped in Christophobia, in my opinion, if it's okay to point that out. Please, Your Excellency, can we just go back to being Catholic again? Can we do that? Can we just teach the faith again? Because teaching the faith makes it so people cannot be haters and still remain faithful followers of Jesus Christ. If you follow Jesus Christ, you are by definition opposed to any form of blood hate. He is love. You want to follow him, you better love, or you're not following him at all. So what are you doing over there, Excellency? Bombs are going off in the Holy Land, what John Paul called the mass apostasy. The church is literally dying.